What's going on, everybody? Eddie Martin here, home of the hustle, Tuesday nights, Tuesday Night Raw with my man, Credit Carl. What's up, baby? How you doing?
What's up, Eddie? Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man, great to have you. I'm going to do the share thing real quick. I recommend folks do the same when they get hopping on here. Share this. Yeah, the problem with, when you admin on a page, sometimes when you share it, it accidentally defaults you back to the page account, and then you actually didn't share it. So I want to make sure that I do it right. All right, cool. So we're all shared away. We got 7 people in here. I'm gonna say what's up here real quick. What up, Mike Chavez? What up, Lad? Brian Hess. Appreciate you guys. Share this thing out when you get in here. Let everybody know. We're going to be talking about something tonight that everybody deals with. You should be dealing with. You should be paying attention to it. Either you're paying attention to it because you did a good job, or you're paying attention to it because you did a bad job. But either way, we're going to talk tonight about credit, about how to maintain your credit, how to utilize your credit, leverage your credit, fix your credit with my man Credit Carl over here. So without further ado, man, give the folks here just a quick rundown on who you are and what you got going on, and then we'll get into more details here in a sec.
Ed, cheers first, right, brother?
Cheers, baby.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me.
Signature Cabernet.
So, yeah, my name is Carl Scaramuzza, a.k.a. Credit Carl. No, I did not name myself that, Eddie. That was given to me from some people in the mortgage business. But and that's my background. For 10 years, I was in the mortgage business from 98 to 08. Everybody remembers what happens in 08. Things got really muddy, and I jumped in the credit repair business, and I've been in there ever since. So my story's interesting because I had I don't want to name anyone, but I had somebody working with me a few years back, and I said, I got to tell my true story about how I got into the credit repair business. And I'm like, man, this is a good story, man. He's like, nah, I don't think you should tell that story. So, here's the story. It's pretty simple, right? 2008, everything hits the fan, right? And I jump out of the mortgage business. I start working at a credit repair company. And about 3 months later, I'm like, dude, this is awful, man. This is not the same as the layup mortgage leads that I was getting for all those 10 years, right? So I try to go back. I call my manager up. And I was like, listen, I got to come back. She's like, no problem. You were one of the top producers here. You just got to take a routine drug test. I said, routine drug test? I never did a drug in my life. Where do I go? Sign me up, right? So, Ed, I'm driving in that morning, and for some reason, I get there, and I can't fill the cup up. So the nurse literally, she gives me a cup, this huge cup. I can't fill it up. So she's real nice. She goes, just come back the next day, no problem. So I come back the next day. The phone rings. It's Human Resources. They suspect foul play, and I can't get my job back, the mortgage job I've had for 10 years. So here's the irony behind it. I've never done a drug in my life, ever. Never, ever, ever, okay? So a guy that's never done a drug, fails a drug test to get back into the only industry he's ever known, and it forced my hand. I had to learn the whole credit repair piece. And that's how I got into the credit repair industry. I kind of learned my way and learned from some guys that were doing it, and started my own thing. And the rest is history. And how I started Credit Blueprint's interesting as well, because I was learning from a few people that were already doing it. They were great at, I would say, building relationships, but they just didn't know how to fix credit on the back end. And my wife, I got to give her a shout out. She was the one person who said, you can do this on your own. I go, do this on my own. I'm like an order taker, loan officer. I don't know anything about businesses. What do you mean I can do this on my own? And she was really the driving force behind that. And I did. I broke away from those guys. I started my own company, took the relationships with me, and Credit Blueprint was formed in 2011, A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau for 7 consecutive years. And here we go, Ed.
Yeah, I lost your audio.
Can you hear me?
There you go. Now you're there.
Cool. Yeah, so that's my story, man. Since 2011, I've been in the credit repair business, doing that, and fighting the good fight, man. Credit repair doesn't have the best reputation at all. There's a lot of companies out there that don't really do good by the customers. Some of the national companies that I compete against, everything's very like they're looking for low-hanging fruit, and they're just going to send letters out and hope a couple things come off the credit report. They don't do any coaching and anything like that, and they really just drop the ball. They don't care about the clients. So
yeah, they miss the whole education piece. It's just a big money grab. I was going to ask you about that a little bit too, because it's been my experience. There's a lot of credit repair people out there, and you can kind of tell just from the presentation of how they present themselves, who the legit ones are and who the legit ones aren't. But the problem is that people that, and correct me if I'm wrong here, they come to get credit repair because they haven't, most likely, probably the majority, again, if I'm wrong, the majority of people that are seeking credit repair probably did some things that were irresponsible, like myself, that they shouldn't have done, that put them in that position. So they may not necessarily be the best judge of character, and they're just looking to get the stuff fixed. And they'll hire anybody who says they can do it. Guy fires off a couple of letters, a couple things come off, and they think that that's a win, or nothing comes off and they spent $1,500-$1,600 and they get left, holding the bag or whatnot. Is that kind of the case with the way the industry works?
Kind of, man. And listen, it happens to the best of us, right? I mean, I heard the real Brad Lee. Somehow I'm inheriting his accent, the real Brad Lee. I heard him talking on his podcast about the repo guy, and he's hiding his car down the block. And I'm like, listen, man, that happened to me when the year that I started this company, I had a repossession. So I had a repo, had to let like $30,000 in credit cards go, and I'm starting a credit repair company. So, I mean, how much can you really trust me, But the point is all that stuff is, as it gets older, some of the negative things that are kind of lingering around, that stuff can come off the credit report. So, why this business to me gets a bad reputation is some of these national companies out there, all they do is just send letters out. There's no coaching involved with the client at all. And they overpromise things. They are trying to get things removed off of a credit report. Like if you had a repo like 3 months ago or like 9 months ago, it's not a good program for you. Like that's not coming off the report. And if anyone promises you that, they're lying to you. I say it all the time. Actually, it's funny. A millennial said to me not that long ago, you keep talking about this Better Business Bureau, A+ rated with the BBB for 7 years. He's like, dude, millennials don't look at the BBB. I go, that's fine. I'm paying attention to what the millennials are doing, but I'm also proud. Try to find a credit repair company that's A+ rated for 7 consecutive years from the day we opened the door. I think we're doing something right by our customers with the reviews on there.
Yeah, I mean, your reviews at the Better Business Bureau, regardless of what a millennial demographic considers the validity of the Better Business Bureau, it doesn't matter. It's a staple, and it does bring credibility. And the fact that you've been doing it for 7 years with an A+ rating speaks volumes. Anybody who's pushing back on you and saying, "Oh, Better Business Bureau, that doesn't matter." Well, look at the guys with the bad reviews and then ask them if it mattered, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So. Let's jump into the meat and potatoes of this thing, man, because I know there's people in here that are interested to know how they can apply some of the knowledge that you've learned over the past 7 years today to help their credit, right? We got a lot of entrepreneurs on here, a lot of people that are starting their own businesses or have their own businesses, or maybe they're salespeople that basically operate independently within a business, right? So a lot of folks got credit cards, man. Let's talk a little bit about that to kick it off, because if you haven't shared this out, dude, share this out right now, because we're about to drop some fire right here on the front end. So folks that get the replay don't have to wait to the end to get some huge value. So credit cards, let's talk about that. Leveraging credit cards, the point system. If you're an entrepreneur, like how do you recommend utilizing your credit cards to, maximize your leverage or your potential for your business with the credit that you have?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first things first, right? FICO, the Fair Isaac Company, that's your credit score. So the model is 30% of your score is based on how you manage credit cards. So, I met you in Vegas jumped on Lightspeed, which we're going to talk about. I've been filming for hours and hours and hours. My head's like spinning right now. And that was one of the sections that we were just filming was credit cards and stuff like that. So 30% of your FICO score is based on how many credit cards you have, how you manage these credit cards, like what your balance is in relation to what your credit limit is. It's a big piece of the pie. So 35% of your score is based on making the payments on time. So it's kind of interesting. You know, it's making your payments on time is almost as important as how you're managing your credit cards, which is crazy. So if you're mismanaging credit cards, you're never going to have 700 or 800 credit scores. It's just not possible. But as far as credit cards, right, like I'll flash this thing on here. Like, dude, this is a cool card right now. So this is the Amex Platinum, okay? You can hear that. This is a titanium card. The numbers are on the back, so you can't steal it out there. This card right now is offering for business. All right, this card right now is offering for business 100,000 reward points, okay? You can pretty much run all of your expenses through there, man. Like, that's what's cool. That's what I do with this card is once you get that platinum card, and there's different layers to it. Like, that's not the card that you apply for right away. And that's kind of what we're doing with Credit Cocky Online. As I'm building Credit Cocky Online, we're telling you what the best cards are and when you know the best time to apply for an American Express personal platinum card or business platinum card. But if the time is right, man, this platinum card's awesome. You get the Centurion Club. You get all these lounges at airports. You get 100,000 reward points. And 100,000 reward points is kind of like $1,000 in airline credits, which is cool. You get upgrades at hotels because now once you have that platinum card, it gives you status. And then once you have status with American Express, you use that to get Starwood, Hilton, Marriott, all these other cards that you can stay at their hotels and get gold status. And it's a pretty cool situation. American Express, I had my rep just stop by the office not that long ago. And with that platinum card, soon you're going to be able to run. He said soon, like in the next month he was talking about, you can actually run all your expenses through there. So if you're a business owner, man, you should be running all of your expenses through a card that's giving you amazing rewards, a business card. You can even run it through a personal card, and then you get all these rewards. You can do a couple things with the rewards, man. You can get cash back, or you can travel for free. You can get upgraded on airlines and hotels and stuff like that. It's a really cool game to be playing right now is this credit card game because credit card companies, they're printing these cards, and there's just a lot of competition between Chase and American Express and all these different card companies, and they're just giving away amazing rewards, okay? Now, with this platinum card, okay, comes an annual fee. So people are always like, well, yeah, I don't want that platinum card. There's a, $450 annual fee. So with the American Express personal platinum is a $550 annual fee. With the business is a $450 annual fee. And on the business side, you have to spend right now. I mean, you always got to change uscreditcard.com. That's a good one for you guys to write down. You always want to pay attention to what the best offers are, and that site's going to keep you up to date on that. But right now, I think I got 100,000 reward points with that platinum card, which pays for itself for the $450 annual fee. In a nutshell, in order for me to get those 100,000 rewards, Eddie, I need to spend $15,000 in 3 months. So if you own a business, not that difficult to do to put that money on there.
No.
Yeah. So man, it's a fun game to play right now. It's all going to be part of this course, part of this Credit Cocky Online. That's going to be like the bonus section on, what are the best credit cards? What are the best rewards? And how do you use these cards to build your credit and get cash back and travel around, do fun shit, man.
Well, dude, I love what you just said. Like the word that you used to describe how to play the game, right? It's a game, and you can't go on a basketball court if you don't know the rules, right? You're going to be traveling everywhere. You're going to be doing dumb stuff, and you ain't going to make it anywhere, right? You're not going to get anywhere if you don't know the rules to the game. Well, how do you figure out the rules to the game when it's a game that nobody is telling you, nobody's explaining to you the rules and how to apply those rules to your benefit, right? So that's what Carl does. And we'll get into his training here in a little bit, but you cannot play a game if you do not know the rules, and it is totally a game. I know that firsthand because I tried to play a game and didn't know the rules and got whacked, right? Whacked. So after my divorce and my, serial risk taking that I like to do, I buried myself over the last couple of years. Dude, I just bought a car. You're going to love this. I just bought a car last week. Dude, my credit's so bad right now.
Is it, Eddie?
6% interest rate. 26%. Like, you're kidding me. Because I didn't know how to play the game. And because I didn't know how to play the game, and I didn't have nobody to teach me how to play the game because I didn't know Credit Carl,
yep, I
got whacked. And you know what? I'll get it all situated in the next year. I'll get it fixed and brought back down. But it is what it is. But that's what happens. I would spend double the amount that car actually costs over the term of the loan because I didn't know the rules to that game. So that leads me to this. Plenty of people have been down that road, right? Taking big risks, taking big losses, found themselves in a funny position. If your credit is jacked right now, what would be the first step that you would recommend somebody do? Something that they can do, like to put a Band-Aid on it right now.
Yeah, man, I can relate to that real quick before I answer that. So there's a lot of, there's two types of people. There's circumstantial and there's habitual, right? If you got bad habits, it's very difficult for my company, Credit Blueprint, to help you break those habits. I don't have that magic wand. But if it's circumstantial, like you talked about, like if you went through some kind of circumstance with your business and stuff got off track because you were taking risk or whatever was going on, man, that's a good client. That's somebody that just went through a little time frame in their life. Like, for example, I lost everything in 2011 when I founded Credit Blueprint. And I remember that repo was crazy to me because I had to walk into that Mercedes dealership and find someone to do a voluntary repo all along the same lines of starting Credit Blueprint. And I'm like looking for a manager, and I'm like, can somebody just take these damn keys? Because, dude, this is embarrassing. Just take the keys, take the car. Like, I give up, I surrender. And I realized I was just in a bad space mentally, though, but I was taking risk with my business, and I had to let a couple things go in order to found this business. So it happens to the best of us. Now, ironically, Eddie, just walked back into that same dealership, and got myself a new Mercedes with my 800 credit scores. They didn't even know who I was, man. It was a really good feeling, very rewarding to go back into that same dealership with great scores and go, hey, man, I want that car. I want this color. So, yeah, man, if people out there are looking to, if they've been through some type of circumstance and their credit got off track, first thing you got to do is try to get rid of the old things on the report. So collections and charge-offs, that stuff is lingering around. So there's two types where either, let's say you got your tax refund money and maybe you paid a couple collection accounts from the past and there's zero balances, but if they're still on the credit report, this is like one of the biggest mistakes that I see consumers make is they pay collections and creditors from the past from whatever circumstance they went through, but that account still remains on your credit report. So even if it's a zero balance, it's on the report, it's still in the algorithm, and it's lower in the scores. So for someone like that, what we would do is we'd come in there and we would send some letters out on the client's behalf to the 3 credit bureaus, and we would just play cleanup, see how many of those collections that we can get removed. If we can get them removed or expunged from the report, guess what's going to happen to the scores? The scores are going to go up. So that's the first thing we're going to do is we're going to play cleanup and see how many of the negative things we can get off the report. And here's the rule that we kind of go by. There are cases that we won't take. If you let the debt go 3 months ago, 9 months ago, 12 months ago, you're probably better off stopping the bleeding. So, for example, let's say you had a Capital One card that's 6 months behind right now. That's still like actively in the collection process, and that's just not going to come off the credit report. So my advice to you would be to call Capital One, strike some kind of deal and say, hey, would you accept $25 a month for the next couple of years to just kind of stop the bleeding? Okay, but let's use that as an example as a Capital One. Let's say let that Capital One go 3 or 4 years ago. Okay, I happen to live in PA, which, by the way, Eddie, it's 9:20 at night, and I'm normally in bed at 9 o'clock. FYI. But in PA, there's something called the statute of limitations. Statute of limitations basically says that after 4 years, that company has no leg to stand on. They can't try to come and collect the debt. So it's very easy to get something like that removed from the report, and then the scores will go up. All right. So first part is cleanup. Second part is the coaching piece. What separates us from other companies is building credit, okay, or adding credit. So most clients, if you've been through some kind of circumstance, you probably let all the cards go and you need to set up your first card. So if, like, let's just say we're talking to like a millennial out there You want to start with some of these starter cards. Like Capital One is giving away credit cards just like candy right now. So that's a really good card to start with. You can get a Capital One card. You can get like a secured Capital One card where you can hand them $300 and they'll give you a credit card and you can start to build credit up that way. Okay. But credit cards, 30% of your score is based on how many you have and how you manage them. Me personally, dude, I'm on my way to getting 100 credit cards. So the more credit cards you have, the higher your scores are going to go. All right. And that was different than what I believed a few years ago. A few years ago, you always hear people are like, well, two, 3, 4 credit cards, that's a healthy number. You can have 50 or 100 credit cards and have 750 or 800 credit scores. So the more credit cards, the more available credit you have, that's the game that's fun right now. People are like, dude, credit's not fun. I'm trying to make it fun. I want my clients to be credit cocky, but that's a fun game to play when you're getting line increases and all these offers from these credit card companies. So you're getting perks and you're also raising your scores along the way. That stuff's fun, man.
Yeah, I imagine that it is fun to play the game and go against the grain for what you hear in general, and start to do things that build your credit up and get you into that 800 FICO club, right?
That's the club right there, man.
That's the club, man. How do you get in that club, by the way?
800 FICO club. That's a good one. So if anyone's out there listening, I want you guys to not only love my hat, but I want you to be able to walk away from this episode and get yourself 20, 30, 40 points for sure. So if you're out there and you're like, all right, dude, I don't have bad credit. I didn't let any bills go. I don't have repos. I can't relate to that. Some people can't relate to that. Let's say you're on the higher end of things and you're like, what the mistake that I see people that have like a 700 score is they're trying to protect that, So, man, one of my sayings all the time is, check your credit ego at the door. People are always so cool, man. They're checking these apps like Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, and those are Vantage scores. Those are not FICO scores. There's a difference there. And I don't want to bore everybody though, but if your Vantage score on Credit Karma is a 720, dude, you better check your credit ego at the door. That's not really your score. That score is inflated by 20, 30, 40, 50 points, and you're really in the high sixes. Now, the scale goes all the way up to 850. So if you want to get into that, what I like to call that elusive 800 club, right, the key is line increases, okay? So you want to start with, and this is part of what I'm filming with Credit Cocky Online, is if you have existing credit cards right now, let's say, for example, you have a 720 credit score and you need 80 points. The first credit card companies you want to start to try to get a line increase with are ones that don't do an inquiry. So there's a difference between soft inquiry and hard inquiries. So there's a lot of companies like American Express is pretty cool. They have something, if I forget what the guideline is, but in like the last 6 or 12 months, you're no late payment, something like that, they automatically do a line increase and they don't pull your credit. So first thing you want to do is shop in your existing credit cards and find out who would offer me a line increase without actually having an inquiry, okay? And if you can get it all day long. So anytime you get those offers, you're opening up the mail and you're seeing a million offers saying, hey, you qualify for $10,000 or $15,000 more, you want to say yes, you want to take it because the more available credit you have, the better, okay? So from there, you kind of want to get into, if you can't find the company that does a soft inquiry, then you can do a hard inquiry. So you can just pick, let's say you have like right now, the best, my opinion from all the research that I'm doing, the best personal credit card in the game is the Chase Sapphire Reserve or Preferred. Those are the two best cards with rewards and what you get, man. Like Chase they're called Ultimate, like they are very versatile, the reward points that you get with Chase. But for example, if it was Chase and they were going to do a hard inquiry to let's say I had a $25,000 credit limit right now with Chase. And you're like, all right, I'm listening to this guy. He told me to get a line increase. If you can get that up to $40,000 or $50,000, your scores are going to shoot through the roof, okay? So the higher you get those credit scores, the better. So I always say this too, which is people are always trying to protect their 700 score. Right now, if you pulled my credit up, Eddie, there are people out there that have better scores than me. Like, dude, you're a credit guy. How come you don't have an 800 score? Because there are times during the year that I am very aggressive with the inquiries. I am actively looking for new credit cards, There's inquiries on there because I'm playing this line increase game. I'm playing this reward, this cash back game. And there are times where my 800 dips down to a 720. Guess what's cool about credit, man?
Goes right back up.
Goes back up, man. That's the way it goes. It's every 30 days, ups and downs. So that's cool, man. You want to be aggressive with your credit. You know, people are trying to protect this, like, I got a 720 credit score and I don't want to do anything to mess it up. And I messed my score up a million times. And that's actually part of Credit Blueprint was like learning, Eddie. Like nobody actually has the algorithm for FICO scores. If anyone tells you they got the algorithm, they're full of shit. They don't have it, man. Like you only learn how the scores move up and down through trial and error. You know, the thousands of people that came out of our program, like I got to tell you, this is funny, right? The first year we opened the doors, 2011, there was stuff that we did where we told a client to do X, Y, and Z, and the scores went down 50 points. Like, really? Like, oh, okay, let's not do that again. So it's trial and error. We learned what to do and what not to do, and nobody's got that algorithm. They really don't. So,
well, and that leads me to this question is there's 3 credit bureaus, right? I think that's the term, credit bureaus.
Mm-hmm.
How come all 3 have a different score? And not only that, all 3 might have different items on them. Like my car isn't sitting on, Experian, but it's on TransUnion. Like, what is that all about?
Yeah. Man, it's going to be tough to sell my course. I'm going to have to be real interesting in my course because this is a tough subject, Eddie, man. This really is. Credit. That's why I try to sexy it up a little bit. I had a customer just graduated our program. She said, you know what the 800 FICO Club is? She said, it's sexy. I said, say that again. She goes, it's sexy. So I think so too. I really do. But as far as credit scores are concerned, there's 2 types of credit scores. There are Vantage scores and there's FICO scores. All right. So it's a little confusing though, but here's the history behind it. 1952, Fair Isaac Company stands for the Fair Isaac Company. That's FICO scores. That's the original model. That's the OG model. That is what mortgage companies are looking at. That is what auto lenders are looking at. They are making decisions off of a FICO credit score. Okay. Now, Vantage score is something that's fairly new. So in 2006, the 3 major credit bureaus, which are Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, they came up with their own model. And they said, well, forget about FICO, right? We're going to come up with our model called Vantage scores. So 9 times out of 10, what a consumer is looking at, if you're monitoring your credit online, you're looking at these Vantage scores, which in my opinion, I would say are typically inflated. Now, it's the same scale. So FICO scores and Vantage scores go from 300 to 850. So it's the same scale, but we typically see the Vantage scores are inflated a little bit. Like a Vantage score might be a 720, but your FICO score might be a 680. So it's a little confusing, but that's what the credit bureaus did. They came up with their own model. So like Credit Karma, that's a Vantage score. Here's another site. If you guys are watching out there, check out privacyguard.com. Okay. Privacyguard.com is an awesome site. It's $1 on a 10-day trial. You ever see that movie Catch Me If You Can, Leonardo DiCaprio?
Great movie. Love that.
Fantastic. So he portrays an actor, Frank Abagnale, or not an actor. He's real life, Frank Abagnale. And that's his site, privacyguard.com. So it's $1 for a 10-day trial. You get all 3 bureaus. And it's cool. And then after that, it's like, I don't know, $17, $20 a month, something like that. But it's well worth to monitor your credit if you end up keeping it. So, but they're going to give you a Vantage score as well. So as a consumer, if you are looking at your credit scores online at some of these sites we're talking about, 9 times out of 10, it's a Vantage score, which is inflated a little bit. Now, as a consumer, you do have access to FICO scores sometimes. Like there's a site called myfico.com. It's a little bit different model than what mortgage lenders are pulling, okay? But also, like I don't know if you noticed in this too, if you got credit cards, your credit card companies are actually sending you your FICO score. Like you look on your Discover card and it'll say, hey, your FICO is a 733. And that's pretty cool. So a lot of these companies are in relationships with either FICO or the 3 major credit bureaus, okay? So to go back to that a second, right? The 3 major credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, they are separate entities. They have nothing to do with other. They're basically just repositories. So they gather data, whether the account was on time, whether it wasn't on time, collection, charge-off, and stuff like that. So this is like, it's kind of interesting because when all this Vantage versus FICO stuff came out, like in 06, like it's interesting that people are paying for a score that nobody uses for a decision. There's no lender that uses a Vantage score, yet everyone in America has Credit Karma, and they're using these sites and believing that that's what their scores are. But you just got to end up cutting the fat at the end of the day.
So what is it? Essentially, is it just a marketing strategy to make people think that their credit is better so they go apply for more credit?
Yeah, I mean, that's what's cool. So as I'm filming this course, Credit Cocky Online, I did a little video on Credit Karma. So Credit Karma, like if I would give you the good, the bad, the ugly on Credit Karma, we talk about the ugly, the bad and the ugly right now. Credit Karma is only 2 credit bureaus. So you want to monitor all 3. So right there, they're at a loss because there's only 2 bureaus, which I believe they're Equifax and TransUnion. Okay. Also, they're missing data, right? So sometimes we'll look at a real credit report and then we look at Credit Karma and stuff's just not on there. Okay. But what's cool about Credit Karma is Credit Karma will actually tell you the next best credit card that you can qualify for right now. Like it gives you odds of getting a credit card. So like, for example, if you were on Credit Karma and you had a 650 score and it said, you know what, you should probably try to apply for this Capital One, you have very good odds based on your credit score right now to qualify for that. You should absolutely do that because keep getting credit cards, keep adding line amounts. That's going to build your credit. So for that, Credit Karma is awesome because it's telling you what the next best card is. Now, on the flip side of that, I don't have any affiliation with Privacy Guard. I don't have any affiliation with Credit Karma. Credit Karma is making money every single time you click the link on their website and they direct you to a credit card and you apply for it. They're getting paid on that. That's why it's a free site, Yeah.
Affiliate money.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. When's that link coming out for Lightspeed, my man? When's that going to happen with recurring? Is that out yet?
Yeah. So you can go to lsvtarmy.com and sign up for the Lightspeed Army. It's a referral program that we have. If you know somebody who needs a training platform and you get the deal done, you get paid on it for life, for the life of the account. It's actually a really, really, really cool referral program or affiliate program. So yeah, lsvtarmy.com. Go check that out. So real quick, we got 18 people on here. Please share this out. Carl is dropping fire for your credit. This is Credit Carl, Credit Cocky Online. He's got some education coming out here pretty soon. We'll talk about that a little bit in a second, but he's talking about the game, man, the game, the credit game, because that's what it is. It's a game. And if you don't know the rules to the game, you're likely to get beat down. So huge value here. Share this out if you haven't. Appreciate everybody that's been involved here the entire time. And we still got a little bit left to go. I got more questions. Carl and I could probably go on forever. If you don't follow Carl's show, is it on your main page?
It's on my personal page. It's on my business page, The Chronicles of Credit Carl.
Okay. I didn't want to route people over to the business page if it was just on the main page, but The Chronicles of Credit Carl, dropping knowledge, dropping information, bringing people on all the time. Carl and I hooked up at the 10X Growth Con, and we've hit it off ever since, done a couple of these together now. So I'm happy that he was able to come in here and join me today. So real quick, I had a handful of questions that I wanted to ask, and I know that we're trying to keep these bad boys to the 30-minute range these days, just for engagement purposes. And we're a little bit over that right now, but we're going to have a couple more questions because this is too good to stop. So what would you say? I saw this like 2020 special a couple of years ago about how many people have errors on their credit report, right? Yeah. From a guy inside the game, inside the business, I mean, you're like in the game within the other game, right? But what do you think the percentage is of Americans that actually have errors that are sitting on their credit report? And when I say errors, I don't necessarily mean like, oh, that wasn't my credit card, or no, I paid that bill on time, but like my name is spelled wrong. My social security number is incorrect. These dates aren't right. Like, is it a huge issue or what?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, first thing, when you look at a credit report, I couldn't give you a number because it changes all the time. At one point, they said 80% of credit reports had, inaccurate information on it. I mean, that's probably true. There's probably one little small thing on there that you can pick out and go, well, that was inaccurate. I really don't believe that number. It's high. It's got to be over 50% of credit reports that have inaccurate, unverifiable. That's an important word there. Unverifiable information on that report. So first thing, I see a lot of people kind of panic when it comes to credit reports as far as previous information. They'll look at a credit report and they'll be like, oh, that's not my previous address, right? That stuff really, like when I said it earlier, like 3 major credit bureaus are repositories, man. That's just data that they have. And, it's some of it is accurate. I mean, if your name is wrong and your social and your date of birth, those are like the important things. Now, you want to pay attention to that. But previous address, I have a lot of our customers freak out about They're like, dude, that address is wrong. I'm like, man, it don't matter, man. Like if they got the primary address wrong, right, you're good to go. So that information, as far as like where you lived before, is really irrelevant. If it doesn't impact your credit scores, who cares? It doesn't matter, But then you start to talk about stuff that's actually impacting your credit scores, and you're getting a lot of stuff on there that's just inaccurate. Like I gave you an example. Like I'll give you this example. If you paid like a medical collection on there from a few years ago, and you just wrote them a check and you paid it, sometimes that medical stuff is still showing an outstanding balance. Well, unfortunately, that's a violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. That's something that's costing you points, and then we can send some letters and get that stuff removed. So something like that, whether you paid a bill, like that's a big misconception with consumers out there, is they feel like if they pay something that it's going to disappear off the credit report. And that's not the case at all, man. That thing will linger around for 7 years and just kind of haunt you until you get it off the report. Now, people with bankruptcy, that's an interesting one as too. If you've been through bankruptcy, it's a big mess, right? There's so many entities involved. You got the trustee, you have the bankruptcy attorney, you have the creditors that you paid off, you have the credit bureaus, you got all these entities involved, and they all have to kind of communicate in harmony. And that never happens. So you might go through a Chapter 7 and get everything discharged, and then look at your report 30 days later, and you're like, why does stuff still look like it's outstanding? Why does this not say that it was discharged in the bankruptcy? Okay. Or you might be on the other end of that, where you started a bankruptcy and it was dismissed. And then it's just this big mess on your credit report. We see it all the time. So stuff like that is inaccurate. It's costing you points, and you definitely want to try to challenge it and get it removed off of the report. I just had a realtor sent me over a couple. They were looking at houses like 6 months ago. They looked at Credit Karma 6 months ago, and they had like 780 scores. They hadn't looked at it since, and they went to get pre-approved, and there was a student loan that was showing 6 months late from the last time. So 6 months of late payments that was actually, believe it or not, Eddie, was inaccurate. Like they weren't late. So it's crazy. So they had 6 months of late payments on there, and their scores went from 780 down to like 650, and they couldn't get the loan they were looking for. But that's a good candidate for us. That's somebody that we can kind of go in there and go directly to the credit bureaus, because that's one of the biggest challenges. Once you find inaccurate information, there are systems online that are set up. Like if you went on transunion.com, you can click a button and you can dispute something right online. The problem with that is those systems are set up for you to fail as a consumer. Like if you disputed 10 things, you might get one thing removed. Okay. So that's a really good client for us, where we can go directly to the credit bureaus on the client's behalf and say, hey, guess what? This client actually wasn't 6 months behind on their student loans, and we can get that thing removed. And what you want to do is actually get the points retroed back. You don't just want to get it removed. You want all the points that they lost, and you want them to have 780 where they once were. So that's the information out there. But the bottom line, those systems online, man, they're set up for you to fail. So there's a lot, like we'll get those calls a lot where people are like, well, why do I need you? Like, I'll just dispute that stuff online. Well, good luck, and call me back in 3 months and we can probably work with them.
Well, that's what I was going to touch on, is they set you up, right? Mm-hmm. All they're doing is just filing letters and sending this stuff off in your behalf. You could do this yourself.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe if you were educated in what you're supposed to send, how you're supposed to send it, when you're supposed to do it, how you're supposed to respond. I mean, I could make this shirt right here. Like, I could, but it's going to fall apart. I'm going to end up naked by the end of the day. It's just, let the professionals do what the professionals do. And the systems that these companies provide that allow you to dispute things on your own are designed for you to fail. Let's touch on one thing real quick, because I want to get into the education piece, but I want to ask this question because there's going to be some people that are watching this live stream right now that may be sitting in this exact situation. So bankruptcy versus credit repair. When do you say, all right, I'm filing for bankruptcy, versus, hey, I can go hire these people over here that know the ins and outs, and I can avoid the BK on my report for the next 7 years, and they can help me out. Like, what is the point of no return? And I know you're on the repair side, but you're an ethical dude, so you would say straight up, like, you should file bankruptcy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really. First of all, I'm not an attorney, but I know the details of bankruptcy. I mean, I'm not a big fan of bankruptcy. First of all, there's 3 types, but you got Chapter 7, and then you got the Chapter 13, right? Chapter 7, you have to make a certain amount of income. The income has to be on the, I don't know, 50, 60,000 side, something like that. And then what they'll do is they'll take all of your debt and they'll discharge it. And in 3 months, you'll be out of it. All your debt will be cleared up. That bankruptcy is not a bad option. It's the 13 where they go, well, you make too much money, so we're going to take everything you owe Uncle Sam. We're going to take all your credit cards, and we're going to finance it over 5 years. And then you're just paying it back through a trustee. And it's just like, well, why would I do that? I could probably do that myself. So I like somebody for a bankruptcy. The only time that I like bankruptcy for someone is if you just let stuff go. If you let $25,000 in credit cards go, a $10,000 automobile, and you owe the Uncle Sam like $20,000, and that stuff just happened to you like 3 months ago, I think it makes sense for you to talk to a bankruptcy attorney and see if you can just wipe everything clear. If the income is around that level, discharge, and in 3 months you're good to go. But outside of that, dude, I don't like bankruptcy. I like people just kind of riding it out, because as that stuff gets older, right, those companies, think about it, those companies are in the business, like when I say those companies, somebody that you didn't pay, a collector, they're in the business to make money. They don't care about your credit. So the older that stuff gets, right, the easier it is to get removed off of the report, and the less and less they actually care about it. All right. So if you were thinking about BK and you're making 100,000 or you're making 80,000 plus, really not a good option for you. You're better off just kind of riding it out and letting that stuff you let go season up, man, and then we can get it cleaned up off the report.
Now that brings up a question, because I have some of this stuff on my credit. You guys might too. Yeah. So there's a statute of limitations on how long they can chase you down for this bill. So I'll tell you a story. I had a $200 credit card when I was 18 years old. Totally like bought liquor with it and just dumbass maxed the card out, never paid it, right? Never paid that $200 off. Kids happened, life happened. I just was like, meh, whatever, it'll go away. It ballooned all the way up to like $2,500. Capital One had written it off. That credit, that debt has been sold for the last 15 years to different credit agencies, like collection agencies, over and over and over and over and over again. Like, does it ever just come off on its own, or do you have to like go and seek help with somebody who can do that? Because I know, I don't know, you're going to tell me if I know. If a creditor calls you with an old debt and says, hey, we have this debt for your Capital One card, and you acknowledge it, does that start the cycle all over again? I know that was kind of a loaded question, but I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
Damn, dude, my head's spinning. No. So, yeah, I mean, that's part of what we're talking about, is stuff being inaccurate. So that's actually what's called a violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Think about this, right? If the debt was let go 15 years ago, and you're giving away your age right there, but if you let that debt go 15 years ago, right, they can't keep re-reporting it every time they sell the debt to someone else like it's a new account. So that's a violation. Those are some of the easiest ones to get off there. What they're doing is they're just throwing it against the wall. The company that bought it for 2 cents on the dollar, they're just going to throw it against the wall, try to get it back on your credit report, try to scare you to see if they can get some money out of you. But dude, something that old, not in a million years. And that's a mistake that I see consumers make, which is they're like, dude, it's only $200. I'm just going to pay it and make it go away. That's the worst thing you could do, because what you're doing is you're putting a big fat stamp on it and you're validating the debt. You're going, yeah, 15 years ago, I didn't pay this company. Now you bring it active again in 2018 and it's going to tank your scores. So the first rule of thumb is it actually, see, people panic. They get something in the mail and they're like, dude, I got a $200 collection from 15 years ago. Well, the mail is one thing, but is it actually reporting to the 3 major credit bureaus? So if you went on privacyguard.com and it's not on there, who cares, man? Take that mail and put it in the shredder. But if it is on there, you got an excellent case to take that and get it removed off of the report and then your scores are going to go back up. But definitely don't pay it. That's the biggest mistake consumers make is they go, that's $200, man. I'll just stroke them a check and the scores go down. Like, dude, I'm talking about, like, just so you know, it doesn't matter, Eddie, if it's 200 or 20,000. If you had a 680 credit score right now and you paid a $200 collection that was old that you activated again, you could lose 50, 75 points.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is perfect segue into this. So what you guys have gotten here on this episode of Home of the Hustle is education, right? It's not just information. Yeah, you were just exposed. You were exposed to some information. You weren't actually trained, right? Because training takes practice and repetition. But just getting information, you could take some nuggets and go apply them. And that's what you guys are going to do. You're going to take some nuggets that Carl gave you today, and you're going to go apply them. But taking those nuggets and applying them puts a Band-Aid on it. It helps the situation for right now. It bumps your score up, 20, 30, 50 points, whatever it does. But at the end of the day, the education piece on how you fix your problem and how you start building better habits is the differentiator that's going to take you from where you are right now, whether your credit's great or your credit's shit, to your future. So Carl has put together a university, or he's in the process of putting together a university, Credit Cocky Online, hosted through Lightspeed VT, of course, so it's the best.
Right.
Let's talk about that a little bit before we cut this out, and share this out if you haven't shared this. And I want people to know about what Carl has going on, because the education piece to me is the difference between success and failure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, I might need another drink to start talking about Credit Cocky Online. And I got away from like college and university because of I started doing some research on lawsuits, and I'm like, man, I don't want to put college and university. So I'm going with Credit Cocky Online. And to be honest with you, Eddie, I talked about Ed Milet's speech when he's like, dude, I'm at the 10X. And he's like, if something's worth it, like, you don't negotiate price, you just get it. And then Brad gets up on stage at 10X. He starts talking about brushing your teeth. Like, guys, you guys are complicating this, man. Just do it, man. Just get it done. And then I walk out in the hallway and I meet you, and you're like looking at me like, dude, like, this is perfect for you. Like, just take your credit card out and pay for it, man. Like, what else do you need to know? And that's what I did, man. I did it. But it's also been, one of the most difficult things I've ever done, I got to tell you, because credit is, one, it's not always exciting. I'm trying to make it exciting with the credit card reward hacks and stuff like that, where, you can use credit cards to get cash and travel. But it's hard because, everyone's situation is completely unique. So to take information that I've learned over 20 years with credit, when every single time somebody's in our program, they might have a different strategy than the person before them. So, like, how do you take that and put it on video to where everyone's going, oh, I get value out of that. Makes sense. Or people don't poke holes in it. So, man, it's been amazingly challenging trying to figure this out on what I want it to look like and how these different sections. So basically what I've done is I've broken it down into 4 different sections right now, right? So I can actually see, Eddie, here's what's cool, dude. I could see a light at the end of the tunnel. Like a month and a half ago, I was asking you, I'm like, all right, how many hours do I need? Like, you're like, dude, 3 hours, this and that. Like, but I can see a light at the end of the tunnel, which is cool. So I actually broke it down into 4 sections. So the first section, I'm going to give like a credit 101, So it's like, here's your credit 101. Here's how FICO scores work. Here's everything you need to know on what makes the scores go up and down. Boom. The second section is going to be our dispute section. Like, I'm actually going to give anyone that buys this the letters that we use for our clients. I'm going to walk you through how you can fill it in. There'll be a printable PDF. You fill that information in, and then we're going to tell you our techniques, what you do, how you send it certified, all the little tricks. So when the dispute letter gets to TransUnion, somebody over there takes it seriously and they go, okay, because otherwise it just goes to the bottom of the pile. Nobody takes your dispute seriously. So that's the second section. The third section is the 800 FICO Club. How does somebody take a 650 and turn it into an 800? So that's all the secrets of, here's a bunch of lessons. Here's stuff that you can apply to get to that 800 level, right? And then the fourth section is the bonus section, right? If you make it through those sections, it's like, okay, cool. How do we play this credit card hack? I'm calling it the credit card reward hack game. That's my little spin on it. So it's like, it kind of has something for everyone. If you want to fix your credit, right? There you go. If you're a millennial, I'm hearing a lot of millennials going, dude, just tell me how credit works. Here's the credit 101 section. If you're going, dude, I've never been through a circumstance before. I just want to get to the 800 club. Cool. I'll give you all the techniques. And then the people that are playing, like I'm meeting a lot of people right now that are really into this credit card game, man. They are racking up millions of reward points and traveling all over the place, man. It's a pretty cool game to play. And then, of course, Eddie, I get the DMs. Dude, I watched your video on American Express. I just got my American Express card. Of course, they don't like or comment, but they're all watching it, sending DMs going, dude, I love this card. Thank you. So it's got a little bit for a little bit of something for everyone that they can take away. And, dude, I think the value of this course is thousands of dollars. I'm not going to price it that way, though, but I'm excited, man. It's biggest project I've ever taken on in my life.
Well, I mean, it's tens of thousands of dollars worth of value, right? Mm-hmm. But in order to get people to take action on that value, it has to be well underpriced to what the value actually is. Mm-hmm. So your value is far exceeded the cost that it's going to take to get in. And I love the fact that you've built this thing for everybody. So it's not just for, the person with the bad credit. It's not just for the person with the good credit. It's for everybody. So Credit Hockey Online, what are we thinking, dude? Like another month, maybe a little bit more before you're ready?
Dude, I got 85% of the filming done. We were just doing a bunch of editing tonight. So, yeah, I like that. I'm going to do a special launch date and do an exclusivity thing where maybe I only launch it to like 100 or 200 people just to test it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. If you guys got questions about that program, hit Carl up, hit me up. I'm happy to help facilitate things and get you pointed in the right direction with Carl. But I think that what you're doing is amazing, dude. I think there's like a shroud or a cloud of bullshit that is around the credit game. And it's good to see somebody that's telling it like it is and speaking the truth, even if that truth doesn't mean they give you money, right? That's the beauty of the truth, man. It's the beauty of integrity.
Yeah, 100%, man. Keep doing your thing, Ed, man. I'm loving this show. Home of the Hustle. I love you. Everybody's show, man. Fantastic.
Yeah, man, we appreciate it. We do things like this. Home of the Hustle is not just about being an entrepreneur. It's not just about being a salesperson. It's not just like about your family or your fitness. Dude, it's everything. It's everything. And you might not like me, but you like one of the other guys. And that's the beauty of this is we got a little bit of something for everybody. The flavors are different. Real quick, get you some closing statements on how you'd like to wrap this bad boy up before we wrap it up and shut it down, because we've about doubled our time tonight, but that's because it was straight fire, so I'm not even mad about it.
Dude, so I really want, I started my journey on Facebook and Instagram like a year and a half ago, and I was just like, all right, how do I go out there and start this show where I'm not asking for anything? I'm just going to tell you everything I know. People are like, dude, don't do that. Don't tell that. Make them pay them that, make them pay for that. But that, going live on Facebook and Instagram changed everything for me. It brought so many people to me that I was giving stuff for free. So tonight, I want the same thing. If you're watching, if you guys hung on for 50 minutes, right, and you want to get to that 800 club, just trust me. Call your credit card companies. First thing you got to know is what your credit limits are. Call your credit card companies tomorrow and ask them for a line increase. And then when your scores go up, man, please send me a DM, send me an email and say, dude, thanks a lot, man. Just got 20, 30, 40, 50 points from that little tip that you gave me. And do it all in a short period of time. Like, don't stretch it out over 3 months. You want all those inquiries in like a couple days. Jam them all in there, get the line increases, and then sit back and watch your scores go up.
That is gold.
Yep.
Like, not a dollar spent, 50 minutes of your time, one tidbit, call them, ask for a line increase, and watch the game change for you. Mm-hmm. So I love that. It's something easy that anybody can do, regardless if you have a bunch of money or a bunch of credit or good or bad. So, Carl, I appreciate you jumping on, bro. Always fun. We're going to have to do it again very soon. We'll definitely be doing something at the launch. So, yeah, dude, I appreciate it. And thanks, everybody, for hanging on. I've been on the edge of my seat trying to learn for me personally, because I need some education on this credit side. So I don't know the information, so I go find the information, right? And that's what you guys do, and that's why you follow the hustle, because you never know what you're going to get and what little nugget is going to take something that you've been struggling with to the next level. So I appreciate the shares. We appreciate the likes. Dude, let's make it easy. Go to homeofthehustle.tv, select get notified, and 5 minutes before we go live every day, 6 days a week, we're working on a Saturday show, but 6 days a week, go to homeofthehustle.tv, hit that get notified. You're going to get a notification in your Facebook Messenger to remind you like, hey, the hustle's on in 5 minutes, just in case you didn't know, because life gets in the way. But we appreciate you guys. Thanks for the shares. Thanks for the love. We're building a community here, and it really is just you guys. So thank you, and have a great one. Carl, appreciate it, brother. Let's talk soon.
You got it, Eddie.
All right, dude. Take it easy. You guys have a fantastic night. Peace.